Hey everyone, and welcome to my preview looking ahead to this weekend's US Grand Prix in Texas. 6 races to go in this intriguing championship for Formula One, and I'm really excited about this weekend in the US. I really think we're going to be for an absolute cracker. And I think the track, I think it's difficult to say. When you look at the US track in Texas, I think it's difficult to say in terms of who it will suit more. Will it suit Mercedes or will it suit Red Bull more? We know that there are no straights on the US track, but there are also plenty of twisting sections on the track as well, which perhaps will suit the Red Bull more. But even so, I still think it's really difficult to call in terms of the track, in terms of who it will, as I say, who it will suit more, either Mercedes or Red Bull. But either way, I think we're going to be in for a cracking weekend at the US Grand Prix, and difficult to say in terms of who will come out on top. Although we'll make some predictions later on in this preview. But yeah, as I say, looking forward to this weekend at Texas. So one of the stories to break in the lead up to the US Grand Prix is the fact that the 2022 calendar has been announced, and unfortunately, no Chinese Grand Prix next year, but we will see the return, the likes of Japan and also Australia return to the Formula One calendar. And I think we've missed going to countries like Austria, Japan. Obviously, we've not gone there for obvious reasons, and rightly so. But even so, it'd be good to, fingers crossed, if all goes well, next year we'll be back in those countries. And there's something special about going back to Albert Park, isn't there? Yes, the 2022 season, may not start at in Australia next year, but even so, there's something really special about going to Albert Park. And when you go to Albert Park, it's the start of a season, start of a new, as I say, start of a new Formula One season, and there's that real excitement in the air. So I think going back to Australia will be exciting, particularly for Daniel Ricciardo. But yeah, I think having the likes of Australia, Japan back on the calendar for next year, I think is a good thing. Obviously, we're going to Emilia Romagna, Imola once again, and we've seen some good races at Imola in recent years, including this year as well. So I'm pretty happy about that as well. But we also found out the third. Obviously, we know that there are going to be free sprint races this season. So the third sprint weekend will be in Interlagos, and with it being a short track Interlagos, I think we're going to see plenty of fireworks on track, and yeah, really intrigued to see how that pans out in Brazil. But we'll come on to talk about that at the Brazilian Grand Prix when I do a preview for that Grand Prix. But yeah, I mean, no, as I mentioned, the 2022 calendar has been released, and really looking forward to this weekend in the US. And I think with Mercedes, look, Lewis will obviously will really be looking to win this weekend. It was all about damage limitation, I think, last time out in Turkey for the 7-time world champion. Could have been better had the strategy played out to more to his liking, but yeah, I think you're gonna have those races where things are not going to quite pan out the way that you'd hoped. And look, Lewis is still only a few points behind Max Verstappen in drivers' championship, so it's not the end all. And we know that Lewis goes really strong at track in Texas, a track that he likes as well. So yeah, don't be surprised if Lewis does pick up a strong result at US this weekend. But also Valtteri Bottas, he'll be coming into the weekend on a high after winning in Turkey's first win of 2021, and obviously Valtteri's going to have a big job to play in Mercedes, wanting to win the constructors this year. So yeah, another big weekend for Valtteri. But as I say, know that he'll be heading into the weekend with plenty of confidence after his win in Turkey. And then Red Bull, obviously Max Verstappen now finds himself leading the Drivers' Championship once again. And I think he will fancy his chances of picking up a race win in the US as well. And as for Sergio Perez, he will coming into the weekend as well with a bit more confidence as well, so finishing on the podium. Um, for Red Bull. Only the third time this year. I'm sure he would have liked a lot more appearances on the podium. But we're coming up the tracks now, close to his home, and of course the Mexican Grand Prix coming up soon as well. So Checo will definitely want to put some really strong showings in the Americas or American races that will be taking place soon and this weekend. So yeah, I'm sure Checo will have plenty of support, and he will definitely thrive off that. And as I mentioned about Bottas playing a big part for Mercedes in the constructors, Perez is going to play a big part for Red Bull in the constructors as well. And no doubt Red Bull hierarchy will be hoping that Checo will be expecting Checo to be right up there, alongside Max, to be able to try and take points off Mercedes, and having both drivers on the podium in Turkey, from a Red Bull perspective, they'll be hoping for more of that for the remainder of the season. So yeah, really intriguing weekend. Um, this weekend in terms of what happens between Mercedes and Red Bull. Another intriguing weekend between McLaren and Ferrari for battle for third in the constructors. Just when you thought McLaren was starting to get a hold of third place in the constructors, Ferrari are not going away. After Monza, you would have thought McLaren were in a pretty strong position, but last time out in Turkey wasn't quite as strong a weekend for McLaren, whereas Ferrari were able to have a better weekend with both drivers, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, putting in strong drives to pick up some more really good points for Ferrari. So I think, as I've already mentioned before in previous previews, I think battle for third in the constructors between Ferrari and McLaren, I think is going to go down to the wire. So yeah, interesting to see how that pans out between now and the end of the season. So I know I've mentioned before about all the more or less all the drivers seats being confirmed for 2022, other than who will be alongside Valtteri Bottas at Alfa Romeo next season. But yeah, just again, that's a really interesting point, in terms of when that decision will be made about who will be alongside Valtteri at at, yeah, in terms of who will be Valtteri's teammate for the next year. So really intrigued to see when that decision will be made. And look, I can imagine for Antonio, it's not nice knowing that potentially he will be out of Formula One next year, and knowing that you've got that on the back of your mind, it's obviously it's not what it wants. Now, obviously, I'm sure he would have liked to have had his future sorted by now. If he's staying with the Alpha team, but he just has to do what he can and just try and perform to the best of to his abilities. And if he can do that for the remainder of the season, providing that the decision isn't made before the end of the season, and if he can put in 6 strong performances, then perhaps he will convince the team, just to stick with him, to have a line of Giovinazzi and Bottas for 2022. So yeah, big decision for Alfa Romeo in terms of who they decide to partner Valtteri Bottas in 2022. Um, so in terms of predictions for the weekend at the US, as I've said, it's now I think at the track itself will both will have benefits for both Mercedes and Red Bull. It's a difficult one to call, but I'm gonna go for a Lewis Hamilton win. I'm gonna go for Sergio Perez to finish second, and I was going to say, do I go for Max Verstappen to finish third? I don't know. I don't know why. I've got a funny feeling something's not going to work for Max this week. I don't know why. I don't know why. So don't quote me on that. But I think something's going to go wrong for Max. But I could be totally wrong. But I'm going to go, as I mentioned, I'm going to go for a Lewis Hamilton win, Sergio Perez to finish second. Obviously, he'll want to perform well in front of his. No doubt he'll have a strong support with him being from Mexico. So I'm going to go for Checo to finish second. And I'm going to go um, for a Fernando Alonso third. Not uh, not Mike comes a bit of a surprise, but I think Fernando he will definitely be fired up after what happened in Turkey. Fantastic qualifying session for the Spaniard. But I think he's been showing signs recently that actually Alpine could potentially finish on the podium between now and the end of the season. I think the team have been showing that. Obviously, we saw Esteban Ocon win in Hungary, but I think Alpine have got better as the season has gone on. So yeah, I'm going to go for a Fernando Alonso. Why not go try and be bold to finish third? So top three, I'm going to predict of Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Fernando Alonso as a top three. So yeah, let me know your predictions. Let me know what you think, who you think will finish in the top three on Sunday, and I'll be intrigued to hear from you. So that's the end of my preview, looking ahead to the US Grand Prix. And if you want to talk things Formula One, I'm on Twitter at Baggies20, and I'm also on Instagram, Manish Patel 89. Enjoy the Grand Prix in the US, and I will catch up with you all soon. Take care, everyone.